When the combines start cutting grain in the fields, you know that farmers are beginning to reap the results of months of hard work and lots of know-how. But the payoff may not come just yet, because over half of the grain presently produced by Kentucky farmers is stored on farm. To keep down the risks of losing valuable bushels and quality in storage, the grain must be maintained at proper temperature and moisture content. Also, insect problems must be minimized. That's where you come in, with the University of Kentucky Grain Bin Inspection Service. You want to do it right, to protect the quality of the farmer's stored grain. A regular and accurate method of inspecting and sampling stored grain is what's required. As a two-person team, one scout will probe for moisture, temperature, and insects, while the other will record data and tend the safety line. Make sure your pockets are empty of all metal objects before entering a bin. The scout doing the probing will strap on the safety belt to be connected to the safety line during the inspection. Probing equipment should have been laced together and placed in the equipment bag with probe points exposed from the bag. Also, make sure all the equipment you need is in the bag before proceeding. Don't take your job lightly. It is important, and it could be dangerous. That's why personal safety should be your scouting team's first concern. Before entering any bin, post a Man in Bin sign near the electrical control panel. And, obviously, you should never enter a bin while it is being loaded or unloaded. The scout who will do the actual probing will be the first to climb the ladder. He'll have the line in hand as he proceeds to the top. Then he opens the bin hatch. You are now ready to raise the equipment, which should all be carried in the bag and is to be raised and lowered only by the safety line. Do not stand underneath. Now it's the other scout's turn to climb the ladder. Once you're inside the bin, you'll want your equipment and bag to be near the outer edge of the bin near the ladder. Then proceed. On your first visit to a bin, you will use the bin lettering guide to establish possible probing points for making temperature, insect, and moisture determinations. Placed at the center of the bin, the guide marks off imaginary lines, which you will note by spray painting letters on the sides of the bin corresponding to the lines, A, B, C, D, and so forth. The grain surface is divided into 5 equal pies for bins under 24 feet in diameter. You'll need 10 such pies and/or lines for bins over 24 feet in diameter. Next, you are ready to take a temperature reading of the stored grain. You'll use the shielded small diameter thermometer screwed onto 3-foot threaded pipe extensions. When adding extensions, make sure they are well connected. Use the pair of grips to hold the lower section while tightening or loosening an upper section. The apparatus, complete with T-handle for convenience, is left in place for several minutes before being pulled from the grain. Then the temperature reading is noted. A good routine to follow is to leave the temperature probe in place while making a moisture probe. Notice the safety line is attached to the scout during the entire in-bin operation. For temperature determination, you will need to take 3 deep probes if the bin is less than 24 feet in diameter. If the bin is greater than 24 feet in diameter, you will take 1 shallow probe in the bin center and 5 deep probes. To make probes for moisture and insects, insert the 6-foot grain trier at a slight angle into the grain. Once the probe is made, open the compartments, push the probe up and down slightly to help fill it. Close the compartments and pull out the probe. After you place the probe on the 3 by 7 foot canvas spread over the top of the grain, you can recover either shallow or deep samples for later moisture determinations. Simply use a numbered can to collect the desired sample. Close the top of the can and toss it to the other scout, who will of course keep record of the sampling procedure and appropriate numbers on the bin inspection form. In terms of the required number of moisture probe samples to take, you'll make 1 shallow probe in the bin center and 5 deep probes if the bin diameter is less than 24 feet. You'll need 3 shallow and 10 deep probes if the bin is greater than 24 feet in diameter. In stored grain, there are also insect problems to watch out for. Several insects are common to Kentucky stored grain. As a result, it's important to regularly check grain in storage to ensure that the grain does not become weevily and quality or quantity is not affected. Each time the grain is inspected for temperature and moisture, all samples should be sifted for insects. In addition, 1 quart samples should be taken from each of the 4 quadrants plus the bin center. If the bin has a side door, a probe should be taken at this point and the grain inspected. Check your manual for help and specific instructions on checking for insect infestations in stored grain. In fact, you can do your whole job more effectively if you closely read and regularly consult all sections of the Kentucky Grain Bin Inspection Manual. Coupling your knowledge with an understanding of safety procedures can keep you alive and keep the stored grain in good condition. All the while, you will be providing a valuable service to farmers, one that can help to maintain the high quality of grain produced in Kentucky.